Resources. ¿Cómo estamos? How are you? It is such an honor to be here with you today because Lulac is a family. Wherever you are today, whether you're in the Southwest, the Northeast, the far West, or the far Northwest, or the island of Puerto Rico, we love you and we're with you, and we want you to know that we do this amid COVID-19 because we know we must. The momentum of Lulac will never stop. And this is why I want to take a moment now to kind of give you a behind the scenes look of how we do what we do as an organization. This is an army of volunteers, and then there are people at the very core, the heartbeat of the organization, you, the members, who participate together in getting the message out to the rest of the United States. Can you imagine? We have 60 million Latinos in this great country. One of the people that I've had the honor of working with and getting to know is the person I've invited to come on camera with us now. She did so a little reluctantly because she likes to be behind the scenes, but I thought that the work that they are doing behind the scenes on this project that we're rolling out all across the United States is so important that you needed to know how it happens so that you can help us and in turn help the people who are waiting for this information. So somehow I want to take you into a space where all of a sudden you wake up in the middle of a national disaster, or maybe a global disaster, and you look around and you see people who are fearful, you see people who are going through great agony and pain, and then you look for knowledge, and everything you see is in a different language, and you don't know what to do. That is exactly what millions of individuals in this country went through not too long ago. And there was one person who asked, wait a second, what can we do? What can Lulac do to change that? You're about to meet her now. Her name is Sandra Caravello. She is the National Programs Manager for the League of United Latin American Citizens, Lulac. And Sandra, I want to give you a heartfelt agradecimiento for the sacrifice and the hard work that you and your entire team have done in doing something that is truly historic. Because I was looking for information at COVID-19. And first of all, bienvenida, Sandra. Bienvenida.
Who has been really, instrumental in making sure that we are organized and that these happen in a very professional manner.
Right.
And I see Rudy. I see you, Rudy. No te escucho, though. You're on mute.
You've got my attention. Okay, Sandra, bienvenida. Welcome.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Thank you to everybody who's joining us today. I know that we had this effort of Ayuda En Espanol, and we did want to go ahead and be able to provide how we came up with this and just some of the information that that you can find within this resource to raise awareness in the Latino community, primarily our Spanish-speaking members of it.
And we're taking a little time to, as we say in mi barrio, pelar la cebolla. We're going to peel the onion here slowly so that you can appreciate the work that it took. Well, we did this, we did that. No, it really did take a lot of work. When you first realized, Sandra, and you are in Texas, and you realized that Washington was putting out all this information, but it wasn't coming in a language that many of our stakeholders understood, how did it occur to you to do something that no one else was attempting to do, to translate it into Spanish, pero ahora? What caused you to do that?
First of all, it was astounding to us that a lot of the phone calls that we were receiving at our offices, people wanted to know, what resources were available, who could they trust at this point. Many of the government websites that they were being led to were unfortunately English only, and that astounded us just because Latinos right now currently are the second largest minority in the United States. And so it was a duty for Lulac as a trailblazer, speaking up for Latino rights and leading the charge in change. So we had a duty to be able to take action and really put a lot of these resources together. We needed to make sure that our information was digestible in easy to understand formats from trusted sources and accessible to as many people as possible in our communities. I'm currently in El Paso, Texas, so my community here primarily speaks Spanish. I needed to make sure that I had every available resource that we had put out in the public so that people could have their questions answered, so that they knew who to turn with. This is an ever-changing situation, so we wanted to make sure that we were prepared and ready to hit the ground running as fast as possible.
And so, as we're having this conversation, let's go and tell our audience where they can find the information, because you're now beginning to hear the message on radio stations and it's streaming all across America, thanks to the help from the Walmart Foundation. We're very grateful to them for understanding that this Ayuda En Espanol is not only an opportunity, it is, as Sandra points out, nuestra responsabilidad, nuestro deber. It is our duty. So here's where you find it. Go to lulac.org/Ayuda En Espanol, or lulac.org/Ayuda En Espanol. Sandra, I remember those days when you called me and you said, I need this and I need that. And we started to assemble this, but I had no idea the size to which this project would grow. Did you in the beginning know how big this was going to become?
To be quite honest with you, I think our first goal was to put information out of how to protect yourself against the virus. What are the health, what is social distancing? What were the steps that you needed to take to stay healthy? This quickly morphed into so much more. We were hearing on the ground, people were looking for resources as we started to see more furloughs, as we started to see folks get laid off, as we started to see people moving and shifting educational classes to remote learning. We wanted to make sure that we were covering all the bases. So this turned out to be something much bigger than just social distancing and the measures that you have to take to protect yourself against this virus. So this really set up the opportunity for us to design a tool to be shared and help our families, especially those that are directly affected in communities. We wanted to make sure that we were targeting multi-generational homes with native speakers in mind. We have a lot of millennials that are taking care of their children and their own parents at the same time, who feel more comfortable being able to direct that information in Spanish. So we have developed an intensive, plan to be able to reach all of these folks out through our Ayuda En Espanol campaign.
And I can remember, and as we're speaking with Sandra Carabello, she is the National Programs Manager here at LULAC, the League of United Latin American Citizens. I have to tell you, she was very focused, because we would talk about many different elements, but she would say, no, we need to find out how every member in the family, desde los chiquitinos hasta mamá y papá y los abuelos, everybody, because you know the way our homes are. Abuelito, abuelita is there, mom and dad are there, and then the kids are there. We needed to communicate with everybody. I noticed that the graphics effort that partnered with you, you're in El Paso, we have a graphics team, a great team up in Washington, and they created graphics that were very astounding, because in pictures you told what sometimes words, and I'm a guy who works with words, and I couldn't communicate it as clearly. And as you pointed out, this was a new thing. COVID-19 at the beginning, nobody knew. We were all scared. But these guys were creating these caricaturas and gráficas. How did you guys decide to marry both to make it even more effective?
Well, we had to make sure that we were targeting the most vulnerable. Again, it's astounding right now. Latinos are accounting for about 35% of COVID cases. In the workforce, many in our community are seen as frontline workers right now, and they're exposed daily to the risk of COVID-19. So really, truly, the Latino community is bearing the brunt of the economic and health fallout because of COVID-19. So we've been able to make sure that, one, we break this down as easily as possible through infographics to accompany the information. Along with that, as we battle through this unprecedented health crisis, we've also sprung into action to put in place a strategic campaign, which consists of PSA outreach through broadcast and digital campaigns in both English and Spanish, because we want to make sure that we're informing audiences of the additional resources that are available, that are easy to download or to view on your cell phone, your tablet, or your laptop.
Absolutely. And I want to tell you right now, if you tune in to stations on the Salem Radio Network and the Salem media platforms, you're going to find an historic, really, outreach effort. I've never seen anything like this in my many decades of being involved with Lulac, but we want to thank the team that is making this happen. And of course, as I pointed out, the Walmart Foundation. Now, we talked about the graphics, we talked about the information. What I also enjoyed is that you actually have links. If you go to lulac.org/Ayuda En Espanol or lulac.org /Ayuda En Espanol, there are links to every single resource and place that people can go to. I really enjoy that, Sandra, because it isn't just telling them, you're actually guiding them to where they can get the help. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. So our toolkit is a one-stop resource designed to aid and inform communities that are disproportionately affected by COVID-19. So this content has everything from health updates to unemployment benefits, social services, price spiking, educational resources, how to connect to technology, and even help for undocumented members of our community. We want to make sure that, one, we're getting this awareness out, and the best part of it is that it's free and it's available to be shared with anyone. Again, you can find that at lulac.org/Ayuda En Espanol.
Sandra, we are just, if you will, at the start of the second phase, as you pointed out. Now that the toolkit, as we call it, it's a plug and play, you've got it all together. Now that it's there, mis amigos, share it with all of your friends, share it with your community. All you have to do is give them the link, lulac.org/Ayuda En Espanol. It is lulac.org /Ayuda En Espanol. Share it, because guess what? It's going to save people tremendous worry and stress, because in one place they can find everything. And I want to thank our National Vice President for the Elderly, who is in San Antonio, Texas, because she was also very engaged in making sure. And Sandra, I know this was an emphasis that you had in your heart, which was seniors, los de la tercera edad, where we're all headed. Algunos ya llegamos. Pero the idea was that if people are isolated at home, that we too needed to help them, for instance, with resources for mental health, because some of them are dealing with depression and isolation. Why was that so important to you, Sandra?
Absolutely. So stigma surrounding mental health in the Latino community is incredibly prevalent. It's being raised right now because of the current situation. Of course, being in multi-generational homes, some folks might not be able to live with their grandparents, with their tias. So we want to make sure that, one, we don't forget about our elderly, especially those that don't have in-house care or have family around them. So we wanted to make sure that we're providing the resources that are available to cover what their needs may be. Make sure that our elderly are not left behind, that they're able to connect to technology and learn the skills that they need to keep in touch with family, to be able to have access to food, to be able to talk about how they're feeling, and the stress of the current situation. Again, this is unprecedented in a modern American history, and we are all adjusting. So we are definitely looking out for our elderly and trying to get as much information, especially those that feel more comfortable learning more about what needs they have, especially in a language that's culturally relevant to them, in Spanish.
Thank you. Sandra Carabello. She is the National Programs Manager at Lulac. That is a big job. She spearheads and leads the major initiatives of this organization. And believe you me, when you're covering those many states and programs, it's a big task. Sandra, muchas gracias. Thank you for what you
Thank you
do.
so much, David.
And we want to thank you for sticking with us and, of course, sharing the word about this great 2020 LULAC Virtual Summit, Making History Together. I want to have an opportunity, though, to recognize some of the people who are also behind the scenes as our sponsors. We want to thank those people who are making today, including you, possible.